So I'm going to move to something that is very current today. I think the survey in the Gyanvapi Mosque was concluded today. Am I right, Sanjay? I think today was the...
Yes, and my hunch is that it's only the first round.
Oh, okay. But isn't it anybody's guess that there is, I mean, everybody knows that there is a temple there, or there was a temple there. Everybody knows Kashi Vishwanath was there and that Aurangzeb destroyed it and that the priests moved. I mean, everyone knows the story. Anyway, I mean, I don't think the courts work on the basis of stories, but proof is required. So my question actually is to do with Gyanvapi Mosque is only the beginning. It has led to the, rise of, or it has led to or raked up, murmurs about other such monuments, like, for example, the Qutub Minar and Taj Mahal. I know you did a show recently on this. So are these, what do you see happening here, Sanjay ji? Is it just a few isolated cases? Initially, we thought it was only Ayodhya, and then, of course, then the protest or the demand for Kashi and Mathura, and now Qutub Minar, Taj Mahal. So what do you think is happening here? Could you make probably, put all of this in perspective for us?
See, this whole business started, the first documentation of this was done by Sitaram Goel. This is the book.
No, the one he talks about the Islamic invasion of Hindu temple. I think another book.
This is the volume 1. Hindu temples, what happened to them?
What happened to them? Yes.
So this is the volume 1. The second volume is also here. This is the second volume. This is the Islamic evidence. So he proves this with Islamic evidence, and he's got a list here. He's got a list of those temples. This was the list he prepared. Here's this page 72.
Wow.
Yes. And he included only those temples on which there was firm evidence that he had collected. And this was about a list which was about 2,000 temples.
2,000 temples.
So this 2,000 temples, and then he invited Lal Krishna Advani ji to the launch of this book. By the time Ayodhya movement had already started. The Ayodhya movement had already started in a very big way. In fact, people who know Ayodhya, I was there as a child. I was in 5th standard at that time. My father was posted in Faizabad, which was the district headquarters where Ayodhya was situated. Basically, they are twin towns. You've been there. So he was posted in Faizabad. And even at that time, as a child, I was exposed to this, where the entire atmosphere, the whole environment was full of the tales of the sacrifices that Hindus did. And I think at that time, they used to talk about the 86 battles that took place to liberate the temple. I think the public always knew this, especially in and around Kashi. But then this documentation was done for the first time by Sitaram Goel ji when he invited Lal Krishna Advani to the launch. Very unexpectedly, he betrayed Sitaram Goel ji and announced that we are ready to give up on all other claims if they give us Ayodhya.
Oh my God.
So you can see political parties will always be political parties, howsoever much we give them credit. And then, of course, the people never accepted it. And then the slogan started that Ayodhya to bas jhanki hai, Kashi Mathura.
Kashi Mathura, baki hai.
Right. And of course, you know how it went as far as the Ayodhya was concerned. And after Ayodhya happened, then Vishwa Hindu Parishad, of course, was at that time led by stalwart like Ashok Singhal ji. And right now, it's not even a shadow of that kind of a body. And I'm not sure whether it would be able to helm this kind of a movement again. But if it doesn't, then somebody else will. Because these are causes that create their own leadership.
Correct.
And because somebody said, I was mentioning, I just had a session before I came on to yours, this recording. One broadcaster recently said, he also comes on Jaipur Dialogues, Pradeep Singh. And he said कि कौरवों ने 5 गांव देने से मना किया था और उनको पूरा राज देना पड़ा. Then I added my own bit in a tweet कि न केवल राज्य गंवाया, जान भी गंवाई.
जान भी गंवाई, correct.
So right now this situation is that kind of an inflection point. And I don't think the Ashraf Mullah Maulana who lead the Muslims in India, they have that kind of a wisdom that they still continue with their supremacist ideology. They still think that they can conquer India back and turn into a fortress of Islam. They still think, that's why I think this is possible. They still think that they will turn everybody into a Muslim because they have to go to Jannat themselves. So they must subject everybody else to this kind of a torture because the Ashraf Mullah Maulana must go to the Jannat. Everybody else may be damned. So they will not give up. Their behavior has been consistent ever since they set foot in India. And you can see that in all recorded writings of the Muslim historians. We've got a lot of these writings available. You've got translations from Eliot and Dawson into English. And if you want it in Hindi, then Sayyid Athar Abbas Rizvi has translated it in English. And that translation has got translated by the AMU itself into Hindi. Though they have now tried to disappear those books. But then there are ways that the things can reappear. So all those books have reappeared on the Internet archives, and they are available. Athar Abbas Rizvi's books in Hindi as well as in English. And Eliot and Dawson, of course, is widely available. So you can read.
What's the name again of the British or the English writer?
This is India's history.
India's history.
By Indians, something like that.
Okay.
Eliot, ELLIOTT, Eliot and Dawson, DOW.
Eliot and Dawson, okay.
Eliot and Dawson. So if you Google Eliot and Dawson, you will get this. India's history as written by its own historians. So all those accounts are available. And when I showed you this volume 2 of Sitaram Goelji's book, the Islamic evidence, and most of it comes from the Islamic authors. So that's something that their consistent behavior they cannot deny. And I have actually looked at their consistent behavior, and I written an article about the Sufis. Then I have quoted that.
Yes.
You can start their great Sufi, the Mujaddid Al-Fasani, the Ahmad Sarindi. From there to their successors, his son, his grandson, who was the mentor of Aurangzeb. Starting from there, right down to these Abdul Rahim, Shah Waliullah, all those names that I took. Sayyid Ahmad, Iqbal, consistent. That separatism, that exclusivism, that supremacism.
At which point does Sufi get associated with inclusivity and the kind of, because everybody just loves, whenever they talk about Islam, they talk about Sufism, and I don't know. I know you've covered this topic extensively, but I'm also curious as to how could something so something be so misunderstood, so
that's what's called propaganda. What else is propaganda? Just because they sing and dance, people think they are moderate. At least they should also try and translate what they're singing.
Just because
they don't do.
They're twirling, they seem to be like, very liberal and very...
The whirling dervishes, just because they whirl around, of course they are called kafirs by the Devbandis. That doesn't mean that they do not call you as a kafir. Basically, what has happened with the Sufis, because when they started out at that time, in 10th century or so, there was a huge conflict within Islam. And that was a time when these Shariat Walas actually won that contest. And till that point, there was definitely an inclusive chapter to this Sufism. If you look at these, what people do is that they will quote Rumi and they will quote some other ancient Sufi. At that time, the tasawwuf, as it is called, Sufism, it's called tasawwuf. So tasawwuf was not subordinated to Shariat.
Okay.
So it is from that time that these people, when they do propaganda, then they talk about the 10th century. But they don't tell you that in the 11th century, a guy Sufi called Al-Ghazali came, which heralded the victory for the Asharis over the Mutazallis. They used to be at that time, the rationalists. And that victory ensured that Tasawwuf was firmly subordinated to Sharia.
Oh.
So once it has come under the Sharia, then there's the question. You're not different. That's what I ask everybody. Can a Sufi disregard Sharia? They will either not answer you or they will say yes. In either case, if they are subordinate to Sharia, then they are exactly like every other Ashraf Mullah Maulana.
Right.
If you see the history of massacres in the Indian subcontinent, all the great massacres were led by these Sufis. You look at the evidence I've given in Unbreaking India, that chapter I have written that all the great massacres, Malabar, that was a Qadri Sufi, this Abu Musliar, and that, what's his called, the other guy who established the Dawla, Al-Dawla. Dawla is an Islamic rule, Islamic kingdom.
So you're saying that
Kunja Ahmad, his name was Kunja Ahmad Haji. So Kunja Ahmad Haji and Ali Musliar, they were both Sufis, Qadri Sufis. Look at Noah Khali. What is Noah Khali? That was Nizami Chishti, Ali Sarwar, Hussain Sarwar. And look at all the killings that happened in Punjab. All these Sufi tariqas who were leading them. Look at the killing of the Gurus. That was Naqshbandi Chishti, this Ahmad Shah, Ahmad Sarhindi. He was the one who inspired the killings of the Gurus, of the Sikh Gurus. So all this is a complete hoax. Then look at the evidence afterwards. Who was Aurangzeb?
He also, I think, followed a Sufi.
Yes, so he followed the Naqshbandi tariqa. He was his peer murid. You know, you have this the guru disciple kind of a relationship, peer and murid. His peer was Muhammad Masoom, the son of Ahmad Shah, Sheikh Ahmad Sarindi. So Mian Masoom was his peer.
Aurangzeb's peer.
Right. So he was actually initiated into the Naqshbandi Sufi Silsila. All these Abdul Rahim, Shah Waliullah, all of them followed these Sufi tariqas. So this is a complete hoax. And let not anybody be misled by these. There's only what is called, I think somebody made a very fine remark as a comment on one of my videos on Sufis. सूफियों में और बाकियों में फर्क इतना ये है कि वो गाना गा के आपकी गर्दन काटते हैं.
Correct.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.